So my testosterone as a woman was not detectable when I first got
Wow.
tested after having my kids.
And everything just turned showed me the way that it was through natural sunlight, but I never thought light more than just lighting. But then I discovered all of the incredible power through infrared, through UVB.
And I went to another internal medicine doctor who claimed to be a hormone replacement expert. She suggested that I do testosterone pellets. So I got overdosed on testosterone. All the things happened. My skin started to change. I got the hairy chin, like all of it. And I
Wow.
too said, this is wrong. Ladies, these frequencies of light from the sun cannot be replicated. You have to be naked to get them. So you go to your church, you go to your temple, you go to your mosque, you go to your mama's house, your conservative mom, and you are shamed for wearing clothes. Women are told to cover up because of sexual attraction from men, and it is violating your health.
Hi, Dr. Hunt.
How are you?
Doing great.
So he keeps sending me a link that I can't get to work, but when we're done, I'll post a link in the stories on both of my pages. He'll post a link on his page. And the discount code for the lamp that we're going to be talking about is Hunt FFF10, which is pinned at the bottom. And so I'm sitting outside, so I obviously don't have mine on, but I have mine right next to me so we can go through it. And I thought you could, for those of you who are on the Mitolux page and you don't know me, my name is Dr. Courtney Hunt. I'm a board certified OBGYN who now owns a genetic company. I practice mitochondrial energy production techniques and nutrigenetics and all of the things through my company genetic protocol. And I now do it in groups for ketosis, the F word that I can no longer say, nutrigenetics, and light, teaching people light. So that's what we're doing here together. Go ahead and introduce yourself real quick if you want to.
Hi, Dr. Hunt. My name is Gerardo. Everybody calls me Gutti. I'm the founder and creator of the Mitolux Sun lamp.
Wait, everybody calls you Gucci, like Gucci?
Ah, yeah, like Gutti, because my last name is Gutierrez. So
Oh,
everybody
Gucci.
calls me
Okay.
just Gutti. Yeah.
Okay. Hi, Gucci. Okay, go ahead.
So yes, basically my story is that 4 years ago during COVID, I had a super strong divorce that got me really, really down, and I got depressed. I had to go to the psychiatrist and take antidepressants. Also, I had to do TRT and was very bad. So the doctors helped me a lot, but 2 years later, I didn't want the idea of having to be medicated for the rest of my life. So I love reading. I'm always reading a book every day, and I started doing my own research, and everything just turned showed me the way that it was through natural sunlight, and I couldn't believe it because I studied economics. But my background was 20 years as a professional photographer, but I never thought light more than just lighting. But then I discovered all of the incredible power through infrared, through UVB, and I started taking naked sunbaths in my garden. I also started going and see the sunrise and sunset. And basically, from week number one, I started feeling better than ever. And 4 months later, I was out of TRT and antidepressants. And I can attribute myself that my best medicine, my best solution was actually just taking more natural sunlight. So when the rainy season got here in El Salvador and I couldn't get the sun, I was just so depressed and I wanted to buy a lamp that could give me something similar to sunlight, the infrareds, the UV. And since I couldn't find anything like that on the market, I said like I have to make one because I need a if I need a product like that, maybe more people around the world would also need to get their sunlight. So basically our slogan is get your daily dose of sunshine because obviously nothing compares to sun, but we're working on getting as close as possible. But having a device like this can really do a lot of help.
Yeah, I agree. So I had two kids at 40, 39 and 40. And after I had my kids, I was a solo practice obstetrician. Same thing. I wasn't sleeping. I think that when I knew my vitamin D was low, I always knew that I needed sunshine being a physician. But when I first found out that I had Hashimoto's and I don't have it anymore, and that my leptin was 29, and nobody could tell me how to fix leptin. Even the functional medicine guys at the functional health clinic and A4M were like, here, take this supplement. I was like, this isn't right. So my testosterone as a woman was not detectable when I first got
Wow.
tested after having my kids. And I went to multiple endocrinologists. I wound up in the hands of a now I'm an OBGYN, and I went to another internal medicine doctor who claimed to be a hormone replacement expert. And after trying thyroid medication, testosterone cream, cyclic progesterone, low dose estrogen, she suggested that I do testosterone pellets. So I got overdosed on testosterone. All the things happened. My skin started to change. I got the hairy chin, like all of it. And I
Wow.
too said, this is wrong. I went deep into the studies and said, okay, if I fix the sunlight and I change my mitochondrial instructions, I can get myself, and I practice hormone replacement. But you guys need to know there are no hormone experts who are taught testosterone replacement in women in residency. It doesn't fall under the grounds of OBGYN. It doesn't really fall in the grounds of urologists, and it doesn't really fall in the grounds in the grounds of endocrinologists. They have to teach themselves, and all they have in their back pocket is to stuff you, men or women, with testosterone replacement. But when you understand light signaling through the eye, circadian oscillators, POMC, urocanic acid, and all the other things, we're basically a
Yeah.
solar panel using light. All the other things that are coming up in this field of quantum biology, you can fix it. And it's one of the reasons I was so drawn to you, because these men who inject themselves with testosterone, and there's two categories, right? The men who are sick and depressed like you were and want to fix it. And then there's a category of men who just want to be huge, and they over inject themselves with testosterone. And that is the worst thing you can do, because you overbuild muscle and you overbuild a thick neck and you cause yourself sleep apnea. And that is the quickest way to neurodegenerative disease and heart failure for a guy. So now I teach all of those things in my groups and at genetic protocol. So Gutti and I think, have formed a bond, and that we both agree that the most important thing you can do is sunlight. However, neither one of us wants to leave the people out who are in Toronto, who are in Michigan, who are in Tennessee, who are wherever you are, and you can't move. Like, it's understandable that you can't move. So this is, as I always say, the sun is the sun. It is a messenger of light or photons that guided your evolutionary biology through your genetics and the molecules that you make, or the molecules you took in from your environment, astaxanthin, vitamin D, all of these things, to evolve you on this planet. If you just start with that core concept and reverse engineer it, you can make yourself healthy without having to use exogenous or extra hormones, except for a menopausal woman. And a perimenopausal woman, I'm 54 years old, and I just posted my ovulation a couple days ago. Now, at 54, do I think it's happening every month? No. But it is working, and I still ovulate. I don't think it's happening every month. I've had an ablation, so I don't know for sure. But if you can postpone it, men should not get andropause. They shouldn't. They should be able to make testosterone their whole life. And women, I believe, can delay menopause. At 49, I was panicked. I thought I was going through menopause. And here I am at 54, and I posted my ovulation a couple days ago at 54 years old. Okay, so can we get into the science of how you made the light and what the UV index is on the light, and the two different kinds of light first?
Okay, sure. Well, basically, for example, I'm showing right now the Mitolite. This is the small version. This is the most affordable version. But both of them have both the red light therapy mode that we call the healing mode. So basically, as a starting point, since everybody wants to get a red light panel, this is also a red light panel, but we wanted to be more complete because obviously sunlight is more than just the infrared. Infrared is incredible, and I'm learning every day more, even of more benefits. But what I wanted to do is to get the UVB because that's the one responsible for triggering the POMC, the vitamin D production, also hormone production. So we also added the 295 nanometer UVB. We chose that wavelength because that's the one that's been found to be most efficient in clinical studies for producing vitamin D. And obviously, we live in a world today that people have very little time. So we wanted the device to give you the daily amount needed of vitamin D in as low as 5 minutes. So basically, the UV index is super high. For this unit, it's around 48. The other unit is around 45 at 15 inches. But what that means is that for most people, 3 to 5 minutes will be enough to get the exact dosing. And that's the most beautiful thing because with the sun, you never know how much sun you're getting. Sometimes you get too little, sometimes you get too much. But with this device, you can always find your sweet spot because it's always the same dose. And also the programs that we develop are super easy to follow. If, for example, you're a Fitzpatrick type 2, you start in the UVB2 mode, and that's the starting point, but that doesn't mean that that's where you need to end. That's just for safety. And then if you feel that you can go higher because you're not getting any peak, then you can try P3 the next week, then P4. In my case, I'm a P3 because I'm a Mediterranean descendant. But right now, most of the time, I'm using the UVB7. So that's great because I'm building more my solar callus. So in summary, the UVB modes have many wavelengths of the red and the near infrared plus the UVB. So you're getting something more similar to the sun and in super little time.
So let's break that down for people who are new to this. If you're outside, after the sun is at 30 degrees in the sky, your ultraviolet index, the amount of ultraviolet light you're getting, is a 3. It starts at a 3. So even at sunrise, just after the sun's at the horizon, the ultraviolet index is a 1 or a 2. So yes, you can get ultraviolet light first thing in the morning. That's why you don't stare at the sun, especially if you're carved up and you have inflammation in your eye, even when it's first crossing the horizon. When it hits 30 degrees in the sky, then your ultraviolet index goes up. Now, I'm in Phoenix right now, so my maximum ultraviolet index, how much ultraviolet light is coming through the atmosphere, is a 6 today. When we talked in the summer, we were hitting 13 or 14. So
Wow.
now it's a 6. That means I have less of a laser beam dose of all of the UVB light to hit my skin, to convert my cholesterol, to lower my cholesterol, guys, to make vitamin D. So this is one reason we need our cholesterol, okay? So simply stated, my ultraviolet index max in Phoenix is going to be a 6. It's going to take me probably 2 hours to make a healthy dose of vitamin D because I'm so tan. And I don't like calling it a solar callus. It's a freaking sun. No offense to you, Gutti, but it's a suntan. And if we use words that blind it so people have to go look, what is a solar callus? It makes it harder for people who don't understand UV index, what it means. Okay, number 2. So what he's saying is his lamp delivers an ultraviolet index of 48 when it's 15, would you say 15 inches away?
Yes, usually we recommend 12 to 15 inches. So the Mitolite, it's around 48, and the one you have is at 55. So that's a little bit more powerful.
So if I hold this 15 inches from my face or my chest, the strength of just one frequency, right? It's like a laser beam of light is, what is that? That's 8 times stronger than the sun. Eight
Yeah.
times stronger than I can get today from the sun. And even in the middle of the summer in Phoenix, and he said you said your UV index gets to maybe 12. So even in the middle, and you're in Ecuador, El Salvador, where are you?
I'm in El Salvador, and right now the UV index is at 8. So even
Yeah,
in El Salvador, we're at 8 today.
right. So it is like 4 times the dose of sunlight, okay? So if you can't go outside in the middle of the day and stare at the sun, because people think ultraviolet A and B light can't hurt you. It's ionizing radiation. It can cause electron excitation in your atoms that can damage your skin, your eye, can burn you. So his light is 4 to 5 times the strength of summer sunlight, and it can burn you and it can hurt you. Now let's break it down. That's why he said you pick your Fitzpatrick skin type, how light or how dark you are. And I always tell people, you underestimate. You pretend that you are paler than you are. If you say I'm tanner than I am, or my solar callus is darker than I am, and you're wrong, you can burn your eyes and you can burn your skin. the biohackers who tell you that the sunlight isn't bad for you and it can't hurt you, that's not true. If you don't understand what you're doing, these lights can hurt you and the sun can burn you, meaning it can cause damage to your atoms, damage to your molecules, damage to your DNA, damage to your proteins, right? Now, from an evolutionary perspective, we evolved on this planet with the sun's rays, these laser beams of light, of which he has what, three in there?
It has the Mitolite has orange, red, and two near infrared, and the other one has four near infrared. So the one you have there has in total six wavelengths of red near infrared.
Okay, and then the less expensive one has four.
Yeah, that's right.
Okay, sunlight provides all of them. That's the difference. This is four. The one that I have is six, and the orange one is four laser beams of light. Sunlight provides all of them. Huge difference. However, if you're stuck in Chicago and you want to heal and you can't go to Miami or El Salvador for the summer, this is your backup option. This is your backup. Okay, now let's go into vitamin D. All you guys are asking me, vitamin D from a pill, vitamin D from the sun, vitamin D from a Mitolux lamp. Okay, so the ultraviolet B light that's 4 times more powerful than the sun in Phoenix right now, and or maybe 6 times more powerful than the sun in Phoenix right now, and 4 times more powerful than the sun in El Salvador. That is the best way to raise your vitamin D because you're turning your high cholesterol that you all need are being told you have to take a statin for into vitamin D. If you use sunlight, your whole bare skin rug, your whole skin, everything, if you're naked, not if you have clothes on, is turning cholesterol into vitamin D. So that's the best option, bar none. Laying out naked, like he said, in his garden, naked after his divorce, trying to lift his depression, right? We all have to hit rock bottom to get to this point, right? Okay, so now let's go back to these are the, when you have the UVB 48 to 55 ultraviolet index on the lamp. These are the goggles you use. Everybody wants to know, what do I do? These are the Trinity goggles that you use. Can tell them why they have to use these when they have the UVB part, not the infrared and the red. These are what they use when they've got the UV part on.
Yes, basically for safety, because as you taught me, when you're carb loaded, when you're not keto, you're not so good as helping prevent any sunburn. So the goggles block basically all of the UVB, and since it's so powerful, then you'll be on the super safe side because the UVB is very strong. But for the red and near infrared, you don't actually need them because it's actually good for you. But always in the UVB, in my case, since I'm not doing keto most of the time, the goggles help prevent any damage to my eyes because it's very strong.
So regardless of if you're in ketosis or you're in glycolysis or if you're a vegan or no matter what you are, when something has an ultraviolet index of 48 to 55, that's not natural. That is like sitting at, we don't even have a mountain that you could go to the top of. You'd have to go up into the atmosphere. You would have to go up into the atmosphere to get an ultraviolet index of 55. I don't know the exact altitude. I'll have to figure it out. But you couldn't even get that on top of Mount Everest. Okay. So the ionizing radiation from the ultraviolet B light in this device will cause an electron excitation in the atoms in your retina. That's a burn of your retina. It can blind you. That's why you wear these when you're in the ultraviolet light, whether you're in ketosis, whether you're not in ketosis. Now, let's equate that to sunrise. You're standing at sunrise. You all ask, do I have to get sunrise in my eyes? Yes, you do. When you're standing at sunrise, you are getting the infrared and the red light that he's talking about, and the ultraviolet index is maybe a 1 or a 2. If you're in ketosis and if you're lowering inflammation, could you be looking in that direction? Maybe, but you could still burn yourself. So now let's talk about macular degeneration. I have heavy metals in my eye. That's macular degeneration is you have tried to get rid of heavy metals and they're stuck in your retina. So you shine ultraviolet light with a UV index of 1 or 2 or 3 on that heavy metal in your eye, and you are going to cause free radical damage in your eye. You shine a light like this with an ultraviolet index of 48 or 55, you could blind yourself. Okay? So when you enter a metabolic state of ketosis, you start cleaning up that mess. It's a very nuanced thing that people have to understand when they're using the sun or these lights. Okay, next, let's explain what are these bad boys for?
Okay, yeah, somebody there was asking. The Mitolux comes with two different goggles, and basically both block the UVB. But I decided to include the two goggles because some people want to use them at night, and even orange and red, if when it's strong, it can affect your circadian rhythm. So these are the ones you want to use at night if you don't want to get any excessive light, and these are the ones that you can use at day because they let through more of the red and the near infrared, but both of them block the UVB, so you can choose either of them. So it's just giving more options.
Okay, so what wavelength are these
What
blocking? What wavelength are these blocking, the orange ones?
the orange ones are blocking, I believe, let me see here, below 500 nanometers.
Okay, so when I say follow the yellow brick road to the Emerald City, 550 nanometer wavelength light is green light. So there's literally science in the Wizard of Oz. Okay? If you follow the yellow brick road, the reflection of sunlight that you will see, the way every city is lined up right now, if you take Camelback Road in Phoenix towards the sunset, you will see it light up with light and a descending body of light. If you are at Chichen Itza, if you are at the pyramids of Giza, if you are at Notre Dame, if you are at the Vatican, if you are at um, the Washington Monument, every civilization's temples, pyramids, streets are lined up to follow a yellow brick road. And when the sun goes below 30 degrees and the bright ultraviolet light doesn't get through the atmosphere and the purple light doesn't get through the atmosphere and it's just the green and the oranges and the reds, that is your brain's trigger to make melatonin so you can go to bed. That is the trigger to make melatonin so you can fall asleep. So when I say follow the yellow brick road into the Emerald City to shut yourself down, that's why you wear these orange glasses to block those bright colors of light. So you don't need, if you have his device, that's going to save you about $100 on blue blocking glasses because you can just put these on at night. So there, you've got a discount code Hunt FFF10, and you've got your blue blocking glasses that you can wear at night, so you don't have to buy a good quality pair of blue blockers is like 100 to $150, so you don't have to buy those.
Mm.
Okay, tell us more about the engineering.
Yes, Dr. Hurt. Just one thing I want to mention is that sometimes people that live in sunny places like El Salvador or like Miami or like Dubai, they believe that just by living in a sunny place, they're doing great and they're getting all their vitamin D. But actually, if even if you go outside, but if you have your clothing on, you're only having 10% of your body exposed. That would be just your face and just your hands. So they're actually not getting any. So for example, in my case, what I try to do every day, even living in sunny El Salvador, since I only have the time to go once or twice a week to have a naked sunbath, what I love doing is that I have my routine. After I take the shower, I use the UVB 5 to 7, depending on the time I have on my chest. I put the goggles on, and basically, no matter if I don't have the time to go out and take the sun, I know that I will be getting the UVB and the near infrared that I need to be much healthier. So that's my routine because not every day, even living in a sunny place, I have the time to take the hour out, the 30 minutes, and take the sun. But and yes, let's keep talking a little more about the engineering.
Well, hang on, let's
Yeah.
go there. For the ladies, we are taught that to be modest and be conservative, whether you are Catholic, Christian, Islamic, Jewish, you should cover up. Now think about that. The key to your health has to be naked, has to get infrared light for your mitochondria, has to get red light, has to get, we haven't even talked about UVA and vasodilation for nitric oxide, has to get UVB on naked skin. So I'm not calling out any religion. You might not even be religious, but your mama told you, put your clothes on, don't expose your body. I talk about this and people get so freaking mad. Ladies, these frequencies of light from the sun cannot be replicated. You have to be naked to get them. So you go to your church, you go to your temple, you go to your mosque, you go to your mama's house, your conservative mom, doesn't even have to be religious. You go to a man's house and you are shamed for wearing clothes. We're not going to single out any culture or any religion. Women are told to cover up because of sexual attraction from men, and it is violating your health for all the reasons that this is a man who just told you. It is blocking these waves of light that you are specifically attuned to be healthy. What does that mean for the epigenetics of your children? Every generation, you listen to covering up and not being naked outside. I don't care if you do it with a wall around you. I don't care if you do it in the privacy of your backyard. I have Malaysian clients who build a private, and people in Dubai who build a private screen around themselves so that nobody can see them. But it has to be as naked as you can be. Any religion or any culture or any civilization that shames you for exposing naked skin doesn't understand the science of health. Okay, tell us about the engineering.
Okay, so basically, it has, as I told you, the UVB 295 because that's the most efficient at producing vitamin D because we want to have as little time as possible so people actually use it. If I made this lamp, for example, and you would need 1 hour or 45 minutes using it every day, it won't be so practical. So we wanted to be inside the 5 minute markup that people will still be getting benefits. Also, on the second generation of the lamps, so both of the lamps that you have, we have also added the 940 nanometer wavelength because that's the one that's proven that protects more your skin from the UVB. Because a lot of the studies that demonized UVB back during the 1970s, they were done in UVB in the isolated form and even in higher doses, but that's not natural. So the only natural way to get the UVs is when you combine them with the red and the near infrared. So we took a special attention to the wavelengths that we chose to use on the lamp, and we actually have done some testing, and you can have 2 or 3 times even more exposure to UVB without getting any erythema because of the wavelengths that we have added that protect your skin just like in nature. So, for example, the Mitolux, the one you have, has the 590 nanometer. That's the orange. That's, by the way, super incredible for preventing or reversing photo damage and also a little bit for nitric oxide. We have the 630 nanometer. That's a red one. And then we add the 810, 830, 850, and 940 nanometer wavelength. So even though it's not broadband, we have chose a lot of wavelengths, so we get similar results than the sun. And the 940, it's the one that has brought the biggest changes for actually helping your body prevent any burn and making it more natural for the UVB.
Okay, so he just gave you a very fancy way of saying red light comes out to play and stays all day. Red light comes out to play and stays all day. You were not meant to get ultraviolet A or B light without infrared and red light. Infrared and red light hits first. You cannot see infrared light. And then the sun goes up in the sky and the ultraviolet A and B comes through the atmosphere. So when you get that cocktail of middle of the day sunlight, you're also getting red and infrared light. If you go to a tanning bed that doesn't have red and infrared light, you're not getting the right cocktail. Right. So someone's saying sunrise, sunshine, sunset, repeat. That's why I've used that hashtag. If you go back, I was using sunrise, sunshine, sunset, repeat in 2016. So You just use
Wow.
that hashtag sunrise, sunshine, sunset, repeat, and you'll be able to scroll back and find all the videos that I've done on this for nine years. Yeah. So, okay. I'm a Fitzpatrick one, live in Ohio. Should I focus on what sun I naturally get since I'm naturally so sensitive? So the thing is, if you live in Ohio, your maximum ultraviolet index right now is probably what, a 4? It's closing. You can't. It's closing and you can't. By the end of September or October, if you guys live in those northern states, you cannot make vitamin D. So now let's move on to a pill. When you eat, the best way is light. When you eat food that's rich in vitamin D, it's coming from animal fat. It is a fat soluble vitamin. So you store it in the fat that you put on your body in the winter because carbs were abundant. It's stored in the animal fat. So the second best way to get it is from animal fat, but nobody eats that way anymore, especially not the vegans. The third best way is a supplement. So humans figured out about 100 years ago that they could supplement with D2 or D3. You want the D3. So the D3 comes from the animals. The D2 comes from the plants. And there has been over 100 years so much. There's a Nobel Prize for this too, I think. There's been so much misinformation about getting vitamin D2 because we convert it from the plants, getting vitamin D3 from the animals. Just eating the fat of the animals that you were supposed to eat in the winter wherever you live and actually being naked because the religions and the community tells you not to be naked, that it's shameful. Look at all the layers of people not being able to get healthy because they don't understand the sun. And then the sun beds, the tanning beds get vilified because they don't have the right frequencies of infrared, red, green, orange, green, blue. It should be the whole spectrum. I'm waiting for you, Gutti, to make a full spectrum
I'm working on that. You'll
bed.
have it soon.
Okay. And a full body one that I can lay in.
Oh yes, we're working also on a full one, but it's very complicated because imitating the sun, it's not an easy job because most of the companies right now are just doing a couple of wavelengths of red and near infrared. That's easy, but to get something that actually looks with the complexity and with the beauty of natural sunlight, it's not an easy job because you need lots of technology that's just coming around, but we're working on it.
So the cutting edge of this is they're about to start raising our food in artificially lit environments,
Wow.
not under real sunlight. We are
Wow.
under a massive transition for our food, excuse me, to be raised inside under fake lights, not getting the full spectrum of sunlight and what it does to the food. That's a different topic for a different day, but I want you guys to be aware that that's already starting to happen in some of the major food suppliers.
Yes, and I also want to show you something very interesting. Give me 1 second, because also on both of our lamps right now we had added what we call the fireplace mode, and that's because when we're living indoors, we're lit by artificial light that's totally red and near infrared deficient. So I'm going to show you what would be the before and after here. Give me 1 second. Okay, so I just turned my computer on and I have turned out the light and even thought I have a window over there. If I take a reading here on what would be my light environment, this is usually what you get indoors. And actually, I'm using here a lamp that is like the top of the line LEDs because it has more wavelengths. Actually, the light environment that you would get from normal LEDs would be something like this. So it's just peaks of blue, green, and red. And that's totally unhealthy because 0% infrared, you don't have the violets too. So I'm going to use the Mitolite right now. And we have developed one program that we call the Fireplace. And it's because it can give you a good amount of the red and the near infrareds because the infrareds are at 100%, but the red and the orange, they're just at 5%, so that doesn't disturb your eyes. But see the difference here. This is your normal environment, so super unhealthy. And now I'm turning this again, and you'll be surprised on how this changes. So basically now you don't see the blue light, you just see a small spike of the red and near infrared, and then a huge spike of the near infrared, the one you see in black. So basically, we have converted a normal light environment that's totally deficient in the infrared and too high on the blue to an environment that it remembers you more of what you would have when using a fireplace. So that's why we call it the fireplace mode. So this is an easy way to be getting your dose of infrared all day around. While you're reading, while you're working on the computer, while you're doing everything. So bringing back the near infrared to your life.
So someone's saying they thought that they bought your newest model. He doesn't have new or old models, guys. If you bought one of the lights, you got the good light.
Oh,
There
yeah.
is no, there's no new or old models. If you bought a Mitolux light, you got the good light. Don't stress. No stress. Someone's saying they thought they bought the newest model and they reached out and there's
No,
nothing they can do. No.
no, this
There's
is the new
two
model.
lights. There's
Uh-huh.
no new model. There's two lights. That's it. You got the right thing. Don't take a chill pill. You got the right thing. Okay. Yeah. So this is what I do. So just so you guys can see, I haven't made my bed yet, but this is how dark I've made my bedroom, like black, everything, blackout curtains, so that I can sleep. It's really vital for your production of melatonin to make sure you're sleeping in a dark room and at night you don't have those bright lights in your face. What are you using there to measure your light environment? Is that on your phone?
No, this is an instrument, a professional instrument.
Okay.
So
So someone's asking what are the differences in the two lights? We covered this already, but the Mito light has, what did you say, six wavelengths, four
yes,
wavelengths?
when people ask, they're like, you have the MacBook and the MacBook Pro, so they both do the same, but one is less expensive because instead of having a total of 7 wavelengths, it has a total of 5 wavelengths, and it doesn't have also the distance sensor. That would be basically the biggest difference because on the Mitolux model, we added a distance sensor that if you get too close, it pauses the unit and tells you to get a little bit behind so you can find the exact distance. So that would be the basic difference.
So they both have multiple frequencies of red, infrared, and UVB light. The Mito Lux has three more wavelengths or two?
2 more wavelengths of
Two
the
more
near
wavelengths.
infrared.
Yes, can you use the fireplace mode in the evenings? Yes, 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 yes. That's the purpose of it. That's the purpose. If you don't have a fireplace in your house, we're headed into winter here. I will have my fireplaces turned on for fireplace light all winter. If you don't have that luxury, show them what it looks like with the fireplace on. You can have that on all day.
Yes, so most of the light is in the near infrared because the red and the orange that are not too bright. So that's why you can use it and it doesn't disturb. Because on the other hand, if I use the healing mode, that's like a lot of power. So you cannot use that while you're working on the computer because it would be too bright for you. So that's why we decided to use another program that you could be using it all day long without being disturbed. And also we have the fireplace too that just goes up and down in a relaxing mode. So it reminds you more of a candle or a fireplace.
Okay, so let me say a simple way. If you're inside under LED lights, all you're getting is that bright, 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 bright. So if you're working in a cubicle or an office that doesn't have a window, um, you could have this on all day as a supplement to your
Exactly.
infrared and your red light. You just put it on all day. Actually, if you sit in front of it with your eyes closed, you feel so good, right? It just makes you feel happy. But nothing replaces the power of the sun. Nothing replaces the power of the sun, guys. This is not a substitute for summer sunlight. You still have to make the effort to go outside and get your suntan. Nothing replaces the sun. And if you are going to use this, or if you are going to go outside and work on your suntan, you cannot do it in an alcohol fed, carbohydrate fed, leptin resistant, insulin resistant, inflamed state. That's why when I teach these classes, we teach ketosis, then we teach the F word that I can't say to lower your inflammation, lower your leptin, lower your insulin, and then you start working on the sunlight through natural means, sunlight, or the best artificial means I've seen yet, which is this lamp, and it sounds like he's making more lamps to get more wavelengths, okay? But nothing replaces all of the wavelengths of the sun. The sun and the sun's light you only see 0.0035% of. You can't see his infrared light, and you can't see his UVB light. You can't see it from the sun either, but you still use it, and you use the 0.0035% in between. Okay, I got to take my kids to a class. This has been awesome. Thank you. I think I'll
Yeah.
have somebody record this and put this on YouTube for us too.
Yes,
Um,
and also if they have any questions regarding the product, just write us, and we're always super happy to help, because there were a lot of questions here that we didn't have the time to answer. So you can write us, and I'll be super happy to help.
Yeah, he's really helpful, guys. Send them an email. They'll help you out. My next class is going to be the autophagy and apoptosis, formerly called the F-bomb class, but we can't call it that. And then I'll be doing a light class in about 4.5 to 5 weeks if you want to learn all the frequencies of light and what they do, and the religious and cultural aspect of it too. What's your website, Goody?
Mitolux.com.
Mitolux.com. Okay.
Yes.
Bye, guys.